Hey guys, welcome back to Vertical Momentum. I am your host, Richard Kaufman, also known as the Comeback Coach. Guys, this is going to be a fun episode. Going to be talking about two of my favorite things, recovery and podcasting with my friend TJ. But first, I want to thank our sponsors. Our sponsors are always life changing, game changers. The first sponsor I want to thank is my friend of mine. His name is Neil Conlon. He has a men's group called Press Forward, where it's actually helping change men's lives. Whether you want to change your business, whether you want to change your health, whether you want to change your mental health or your spirituality, definitely check out Press Forward. We have an amazing group on Facebook. It's called Press Forward. Check it out, and if you get a chance, go back 3 episodes. I interviewed Neil Conlon on New Year's Eve. Totally amazing dude. Totally changed his life, and now he's helping men create 7-figure lives. And my last sponsor is me. We came out with our own coffee. We call Vertical Momentum Coffee, which is a pre-workout coffee, which is high energy. It's not your mama's coffee. You're not going to find it anywhere else. It's 50% caffeine. So if you want to kick Monday's ass, get our coffee. Now, I don't make $1 off of our coffee. I don't make any money off of our coffee. All my money goes to help veterans that are struggling with PTSD, traumatic brain injury, depression, addiction, and also homelessness. So if you love coffee with a mission, definitely check it out. Guys, this is going to be fun. Like I said, we're going to talk about some stuff that we're going to get real and raw. So if you hear a couple F-bombs, it's okay. It's my show. TJ, what's up, my brother? What's going on?
Hey, not too much, man. Just, enjoying the day, man. How are you doing?
Oh man, I'm so pumped up ever since our conversation yesterday, and I'm so grateful for your friendship. And like I said, I just introduced you to Brock, another great dude that's in recovery and changing lives. So talk to us a little bit about yourself, where you're from. Obviously, you don't have that New Jersey accent, so you're not from here. So where are you originally from, and what kind of little boy were you growing up?
Well, me, I grew up in a very small town called Prince Albert. It's in Saskatchewan, Canada. One of the lesser known provinces here in Canada. Um, but basically, as a little boy, I was, a good kid. For the most part. Um, that kid that always asked a lot of questions, always asking why this, why that, why do people do this, do that, and I just wanted to figure out why like people are the way they are, kind of a thing, I guess. But Um, yeah, and then, as I got older, started hanging around with the wrong people. And, I never had my father around. Like I only met him a couple times. So I guess I always had that need to like want to fit in, you know what I mean? And yeah, so that led me to hanging out with the wrong people, just trying to fit in with the quote unquote cool kids, and then started, getting into drugs at a young age. I think I was 9, started smoking pot and stuff like that. Started drinking by the age of 12, and then by the time I was 15, I was, full blown alcoholic, drug addict, and by the time I was 18, I was on the most wanted list in my hometown. Ended up in jail in my early 20s when my actually the night I actually got arrested and went to jail was the night my second child was born. So that's kind of what got me off the path of the drugs and stuff, and had a little bit of a harder time kicking the alcohol, but at the time of this recording now, I'm just over 8 months sober. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at now.
That's awesome. Now, so let's go back. My father left when I was 3 months old, and I come from an addicted household. My mom was addicted. Thank God she's clean. She just celebrated, I think, 27 years.
Mm.
But for me, my escape was reading books. That was my big escape until I found alcohol. What was your escape as a child until you finally found drugs or alcohol?
Oh man, that's easy. My escape was writing music. When I was 11 years old, I was introduced to hip hop music, and yeah, so like as soon as I heard it, I mean, for whoever is listening right now, if you know hip hop, you probably know who Eminem is.
Yeah.
And so he was the first artist that I, got introduced to as a kid. And as soon as I heard his music, I was just blown away just because of, his passion and his level of just being honest and real, you know what I mean, and just putting himself out there like that. And I truly, was inspired by that. So I just kind of started studying his music and learned how to write and stuff like that. And then, yeah, then later in life, got into like recording, and now like I can't see my posters here, but I do shows and stuff like that. But yeah, as a kid, that was definitely my escape. It was like a kind of like therapy.
Well, I'm a big Eminem guy, and it was because of the movie 8 Mile.
Oh
The
yeah.
last 2 minutes is what actually turned my whole life around, because that's when I decided to put all the dirty shit I ever did, put it out in public, so nobody could ever come back at me and say, "Well, you were a you were a drug addict." Yeah, but I'm clean now. You were a whatever. Yeah, but I
Yeah.
I got a beautiful wife. I got 3 beautiful children. I'm living in a beautiful home. So you can't tell me anything about myself that I haven't already told you. So I took the power away from everybody else. And I think, that's pretty amazing that, and we never talked about that before. This is just something that, that just came up.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
now obviously coming in Saskatchewan, I'm a big football guy. So I always follow the Rough Riders.
Nice.
Uh, so now talk about the day before and the day that you got locked up. What happened?
Um, well, basically, like at this point, I was living in my old lady's hometown, which is about 6 hours north of where I'm from. And at this point, I was trying to get clean, from the hard drugs and the alcohol and stuff like that. But like I guess I was doing okay after a while. I still wasn't completely clean, but I was trying. And yeah, then we found out she was pregnant, so then we went back to my hometown to go and wait for my daughter to be born, because where she lives, there's, like, no hospital or anything like that. It's a very, very small community, and so we went back to my hometown to go wait for a couple weeks, and I ended up meeting up with an old friend thinking, I've been kinda clean for this long, I can fight the urge and, stuff like that, and because he just wanted to go for a coffee and whatever, and, you know, ended up back on the drugs. Um, I think at this point, like I said, I was still on the most wanted list and stuff. So, I was kind of sneaking around and just getting high everywhere. And I was visiting one of my buddies. He was living in my sister's garage at the time. And I don't know, all of a sudden, a couple cops showed up and they're like, "Hey, Mr. Bell, you got warrants for your arrest. You got to come with us." And but nobody knew where I was. So I was like really confused. But, and I had the opportunity to run. But I was like, you know what? I was like, this is my chance, to get clean. So I'm just gonna take it. And then by the time I put the handcuffs on, I had just remembered, because I was so messed up mentally and stuff, that my daughter was about to be born. And I was like, oh man. And so yeah, then I ended up going to jail. Turns out it was my old lady that called the cops on me, which was, understandable because I was supposed to be there with her, helping her because she was 9 months pregnant and we already had one child at this point. I think he was two. And so yeah, I ended up, going to jail. They're trying to give me 2 years, but I just ended up doing 4 months for just because wasn't as bad as they were making it out to be, I guess. But I mean, still, like only like 4 months, not meeting your child is still, pretty bad in my opinion.
So take us back, because I talked to Brock, and I talked to Brock, and I also had Zach on, and and of course we love our Zach, but he told us how he felt then that first night when they clacked that when the doors clacked behind him. What was that feeling like that first night when all of a sudden you're locked in, you can't go anywhere, and it's just you and you alone? What was that feeling like? And did you have
um,
to? I'm sorry. Another point to that. Did you have to detox during that time? And what was that like?
well, no, I think for me, like, I mean, compared to Zach's story, because he did 5 years and I only did, a few months. So I think for me, it was a little bit different. I mean, it still wasn't a good feeling at all, but I don't know. I've been in there enough times to know that when you're in there, you kind of, I mean, for lack of a better term, you kind of just need to forget the outside world. You know what I mean? So that's kind of what I did. Like it was still really hard, being away from my kids, my old lady, my family, and everybody. But at the same time, I knew that I needed to go through this in order to get better, you know what I mean? And that this was just it was a gift given to me from God or whoever is up there, you know what I mean? And like it was hard, but it was necessary, you know? And
So, did you have to go, did your body detox?
oh,
And,
absolutely, yeah.
and what was that? What was your detox experience like?
Um I mean, from what I remember, I believe it was just like cold sweats, waking up in the middle of the night shaking and, just I don't know, like it wasn't anything too extreme. Like I've heard other stories and stuff of, people detoxing from like drugs and alcohol, but I mean, I don't know, like for me I, I don't remember it being too extreme, just like cold sweats, headaches, just kind of, I mean, for lack of a better term, regular stuff, I guess. But yeah.
So, because you've been in trouble before, now this was what I call my, your come to Jesus moment. Was this your come to Jesus moment, or was there? Because I remember when we were talking the other day, you had two significant losses in your life. Was that your come to Jesus moment?
I think in a way they both kind of were. Like the first when I went to jail, I think that was kind of just the wake up call, like just showing me the reality of, what drug and alcohol use can lead to. Because like I said, they were trying to put me away for 2 years. And for me, that would have been, pretty bad to, not know my daughter until she was 2. So I think that was sort of like the wake up call and where it started. And then, so the drugs stopped right there, but I kind of kept going with the alcohol. And then fast forward late 2020, my best friend dies from alcohol poisoning. So I think that was, really the aha moment, I guess, where, kind of got me off of that track too and, really opened my eyes up and stuff like that.
Now your brother passed from something else.
Yeah. Yeah. And then, yeah, a month later, my older brother passed from a fentanyl overdose. Yeah.
So, a lot of people, like I always say, the three most important words in English language are "today I decide." Because once you make a decision, all you have to do is act upon it. But at that point, after your best friend dies, your brother dies, you can make the decision to quit, but then you have to
Mhm.
take actionable steps. So,
Absolutely.
what were some of the steps that you took? For me, I had to get away from people, places, things. I became a hermit. I pretty much didn't associate with anybody. So, what were some of your steps to start to reimagine and reinvent yourself?
Yeah. See, for me, again, that's a little different because in the last like year and a half, I would just sit at home and drink by myself after my kids go to bed. And then, well, then I'd end up still drinking the next day, but like, all night and then all day. But anyways, so I didn't really have that opportunity of kind of keeping myself away from people because it was just me. And so I think that's like for me, that's why it was so difficult to quit. But one like the first step well, the first thing that really helped me quit was my friend that passed away. His last wish for me was to quit drinking because he knew that because I was a lot heavier drinker than he was. And, he knew exactly where I was headed and stuff. And so yeah, that was, one big thing. But I mean, for the most part, after that, one main thing that really, really helped me get off, I mean, stop drinking was, just working on my mindset because I believe, if there's anything you want to achieve or anything you want to do, you need to have that mental toughness and stuff like that. So I, started working on my mindset. I started reading this book called Atomic Habits and just kind
Yeah,
of
Mr.
implement.
Mr.
Yeah,
Clear, amazing
yeah.
book. Yeah.
And then I kind of started implementing those and kind of using because my drinking was, a bad habit. So I kind of just used the steps in that book to, kind of change those habits out. And yeah, so, like, for me, the biggest part, though, was, like, that mental toughness and, like, in one of my episodes on my show, I was talking about delayed gratification, and
Oh, I can't hear you. It went out. I can't hear you.
I think it's good now.
Now we got you.
Yeah, I don't know what happened there, that was weird. Um,
Delayed gratification.
I don't know what's going on with my computer here today. It keeps cutting out. But yeah, delayed gratification where I would just kind of, just practice that and kind of use that to, kind of wean off the alcohol in a way. And, like, cause I used to like, drinking and playing video games all the time. So, it's, did it cut out again or?
Yep, but you're back.
Okay. Yeah. I don't know what's going on here. Um, but yeah, so I would, before I'd start drinking, I'll just, play the game for a while and just kind of delay it as long as I possibly could. And so yeah, just, mental toughness, delayed gratification, and fixing those bad habits and replacing them with healthier habits and stuff is what really helped me, stop drinking and stuff like that.
So now, because everybody knows, that the music scene is very, it's a hard scene to be around, especially with drugs and alcohol.
Yeah.
Do you foresee that, being a part of the music scene while staying abstinence from drugs and alcohol?
Well, I mean, COVID really helped with that because I haven't been able to do a show since 2019. Um, but I'm going to be getting back into it here right away. But yeah, basically, I haven't been able to get out there and go do shows or really do anything like because most of the stuff that I could do, I just do from home, like the recording, stuff like that. And so yeah, I guess COVID was a big help there.
So, obviously, guys, if you guys ever want to become a podcaster, you definitely need to get in touch with Zach Babcock, Paul,
Definitely.
him, part of the underground movement. So, how did you decide? All right, I'm going to start a podcast because I'm good at some of the technical stuff already, and I have something to say. Or what was the thought process behind starting the podcast?
Well, I always knew that I wanted to, start building my own audience in some way, like kind of outside of music. Cause like music, growing up was all
All right, guys. I think his kind of kicked off. I don't know what happened. Hopefully, we're going to get him back on. It kind of kicked off, so we're gonna. I've never had this problem before, but he is also in Canada, so we're gonna.
we're
You
good.
there?
Yeah.
All right. So it
I
kind of
don't
kicked us off.
yeah,
So
sorry about that, man.
no, it's please. If that's the worst thing that happens today, we're doing pretty damn good.
All right.
So you started to now a lot of people they say they want to start a podcast, but they have paralysis of analysis. They're worried: do I have the right microphone? Do I have the right camera? Do I and they get so bogged down and they never start.
Yeah, definitely.
So what was your experience like starting your podcast?
Um, Pretty much the same. But like last year, well, in 2020, I was originally gonna start my own podcast in the music category. But just like you said, man, I had no idea where to start. I didn't even know what to do. So then I just gave up on it. And but then fast forward to 2021, I found Zach's YouTube channel and kind of started learning from him, started listening to his podcast and how he does everything. And I just loved like I said in our interview on my show, like I just loved how real he was and or is and just is himself, So I started learning from him. I got into his courses. And right there, like it just like the floodgates opened, you know what I mean? Because I finally knew exactly what I needed to do step by step. And for anyone listening that's trying to start a podcast, don't think that you need like microphones like this. I actually got this for free from a giveaway, but I started with this right here. I paid 75 dollars for this little thing, and the quality on it is insane. And like, you don't need nothing crazy. And like just like what Zach says in his show, like, who cares if not everything is perfect, just start, like because my show is launched, it's doing pretty well, and my website's not even complete yet, because I was talking with Zach and he's like, who cares? He's like, just start, just get the thing launched, and you can work on your website as things start moving and stuff. So yeah, that's
Now,
kinda
I think you set some kind of record. It was kind of like, I think you're like one of the fastest people to ever go from launch to having their podcast ranked on iTunes in a certain amount of time. Talk to us about that.
Well, I mean, I thought I was, but because I thought the record was like 18 hours or something like that, and then I found out that I ranked mine in 17 hours, but then I was talking with Paul, and it turns out that the fastest was 6 hours. So I was still pretty close, but I wasn't the fastest yet. So
So now, a lot of people that are listening, they're like, what are some of this? We're going to talk. We're not going to give away all the secrets because, of course, we want to get the, Zach and Tim and Paul and get their group noticed, but also their course out there. But what are some of the simple things that you learn? Like for me, I learned I didn't need all that stuff, you know, because the camera on a new iPhone is sometimes worth more than $1,000 cameras.
yeah, for sure.
And for me, it's kind of like I do all my shows with a microphone and my iPhone. And so, I found that sometimes just, because like some of my friend Gary Vaynerchuk, some of his most watched videos ever were on a flip cam at a yard sale and had like 10 million views.
Yeah,
So you don't really need the best of equipment, but you need to start. So what
yeah.
are some of the things that you've learned over the last couple months about podcasting?
I'd say the biggest thing for me, the thing that took me from analysis paralysis to taking action was what Zach teaches is the 4 W's: the who, the what, the why, and the where. Like, who is your audience for? What will they learn, or what will it be about? Where will it take them, and why should they listen to you? I got those things dialed in and got my message, dialed in, and just using my own story and stuff like that. Nothing too crazy, but that right there is, one thing that just really opened it right up for me and, got me to actually take action because I knew at that point, I knew what to say on my show, because I was like, damn, what am I supposed to talk about? I know who I want to talk to and what I want to talk about, but I just couldn't think of topics. But having those 4 W's dialed in really, helped me, just kickstart everything. So.
And I think that's one thing that people like Zach and John Lee Dumas, that's something that they talk about. They talk about like JLD. I took his course too. I took them both at the same time. JLD always talks about go an inch wide, but go a mile deep
Yeah.
when trying to figure out who your avatar is, who your listener is. Because if you're trying to you know hit everybody, you're not going to hit anybody. If you're talking to everybody, you're talking to nobody.
Yeah, for sure.
And so talk to us. Trying to figure out who your niche is, and then trying to niche it down a little bit more to kind of figure out. Like mine, I actually niched it down to who my perfect audience is. He even has a name, and so I really niched it down. So talk to us about your finding your perfect avatar.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't really, call it the perfect avatar or anything like that. And I wouldn't even necessarily say that I'm niche down. I'm just more speaking to who I was when I needed somebody, like, because where I'm at now, like kind of reaching back and, pulling myself, up to give myself that, little bit of a head start. But so basically, I'm just talking to people that were, either in a very similar situation as me, like in their darkest times in life, and they just need that voice, that somebody to say, "Hey, man, it's okay. I've been there too," and kind of just pull them into the quote unquote promised land, I guess. But but yeah, I'm just kind of speaking to people that were similar to where I was, in my darkest times of my life and stuff like that. And
And that's one thing that Zach talks about in his course.
yeah,
He's like, 'cause some people was like, well, I don't know who my avatar is,
yeah,
and he says, your perfect avatar is the person that you used to be
yeah,
and the person that you want to be.
and everywhere in
That's
between.
that's the person, that's your perfect avatar because exactly that's the person you're talking to, and you know what you're talking about. You're not speaking, above your pay grade. Like for me,
Yeah,
you know, if somebody wanted to do a podcast on economics, I would be like, bro, I can't help you. I got nothing. But you want to talk about recovery, you want to talk about resilience, you want to talk about health, fitness. I got you. But you start talking about stuff outside of my lane, I can't help you.
Definitely.
So now talk to us about, because a lot of people think, well, all right, I got a podcast, and it's really hard to do a standalone podcast for me. And I can't do podcasts by myself. I just can't do it. But I love getting interviews. I love interviewing, high achievers and thought leaders like yourself. So how do people find guests to come on their show?
Well, for me, like the way I've been able to find guests is just networking and uh, plus Zach's community, that the Alpha Podcasters community was a really huge place where I met most of my guests, and just yeah, you too,
Yeah.
and just meeting people through people. You know what I mean? Like I met you, interviewed you yesterday. We had a great conversation. Then you introduced me to Brock, and then so eventually me and him will hopefully have another great conversation as well. And yeah, man, just get involved. Like even on Facebook, there's tons of like different groups and stuff you can join, and just get around people that are just like-minded. You know what I mean? Like like-minded people, and just start talking to people. And yeah, and like, hey, I like your story. I like what you're about. You want to come, get on a show, or you know what I mean? It's very simple, just talking to people basically.
And I love that. Now, if you guys have not gotten the book Atomic Habits by Mr. James Clear, pick it up. You can either get it on, in bookstores, Amazon. You can even get it on Audible. I got it on Audible. So when I'm doing my cardio, I listen to it twice. But he talks about, stacking your wins.
Hmm.
But he also talks about, like I got a friend, his name is Mr. John McCaskill. He's a retired Navy SEAL commander. And he always talks about your morning routine and your evening routine will figure out how the rest of your day goes.
Yeah.
So was it like in the day of TJ Bell? What is your day like?
Well, I mean, to be totally honest, right now it's it kind of varies, but for a good day, my ideal day, wake up at least 6, 7 in the morning. Um, you know, before just this goes back to the Atomic Habits book. Before I look at my phone, I go hop in the shower first, and then kind of use that as a reward. Like, okay, now I can look at my phone, because if I just wake up and lay there looking at my phone, I'm sitting there for an hour, 2 hours. But if I just get up, have a shower first, get ready, and then look at it, then it's only a few minutes. And then after that, what I usually like to do is go get some coffee made, start making some breakfast, and listen to the Rewire podcast by Ryan Stewman. That's for me. That's like the perfect way to start the day, because it's short, like 5, 6 minute episodes, and it just gets my mind right for the day. And yeah, and then after that, take my kids to school, come home, work on my podcasting stuff. But now, like, I posted on Facebook. I just got signed up for a gym membership. So, because usually in the morning I like to go, Tim Hortons, get a coffee, but instead of that, I'm gonna start going to the gym and stuff like that. But I mean, but sometimes, I'm not perfect, so sometimes I sleep in a little bit, or I don't get my morning routine in, and you know what I mean. But I mean, for the most part, that's pretty much what it looks like.
Now, because for me, I believe, I've been, like I said, I've been sober 33 years, New Year's. And since I got sober, my relationships have gotten so much better.
Hmm.
Um, and they call that in the rooms, they call it the promises. So how has your life improved since you got off the drugs and the alcohol?
Oh man, it's been incredible, man. I'm still working on some things, because at the time of this recording, I'm just over 8 months sober. So I'm still working on my mental health and stuff like that. But I mean, for the most part, it's great, because like when I was drinking, I was such a negative person, and like nobody wanted to be around me. Like my family would hardly ever contact me. But now, I'm working on building up those relationships. Building up my relationship with my kids, because my drinking kind of messed that up too for a while with my old lady. We're working on our issues now and stuff. So I mean, I just, since I quit drinking, I've just become like a more positive person. Everybody, is starting to recognize that. And so now people, are wanting to be around me again and talk to me and stuff. So, I mean, it's been pretty good. like when I was drinking, I was extremely lonely and, depressed and stuff. But now, I'm a lot more positive and, um, I don't get as angry as often as I used to. And because like I'd have a short temper and stuff from like when I'm hungover or whatever. But yeah, I don't know. It's just, I'm a lot more positive and it's just been incredible just being able to, fix my relationships with my family and my friends and like my kids and everybody. So yeah.
All right. So my last two questions are, how do we find you? How do we find your podcast? How can we support your mission?
You could find me, well, my podcast. You could either search it on whatever podcast and platform you like to listen on, just Underground Reach, or you can go to undergroundreach.com and there'll be a a subscribe button if you want to subscribe. But if you want to, get with like with me personally or just get to know me better, you can follow me on Instagram at Underground Reach. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
All right. So last question. As we know, as of this recording, it looks like COVID is starting to ramp back up again, and people, starting to lock back down. So, a lot of people here in New Jersey, a lot of parents, they lost their jobs. They're driving for Uber or DoorDash, just trying to make a living. So if you ask the average person to do something in 7 days, they're pretty much never going to get to it.
Mm-hmm.
But if somebody's listening to us right now and we ask them to take an actionable step in the next 24 hours, they're more likely to do it. So I'm going to ask a two-pronged question. Number one, if somebody is struggling with addiction, what is something they can do in the next 24 hours to get some help? And number two is, if somebody is struggling making that decision to start a podcast or not to start a podcast, what can they do in the next 24 hours to get some clarity in that?
That is a great question, man. For the addiction part, I mean, if it was me, because I only like to speak from my experience, I would either hit up a local AA or NA meeting, because that's where you meet everybody and they can, point you in the right direction for detox centers and, recovery centers and stuff like that. So that's the first thing I would do on that part. If not, then I'd, reach out to a friend because somebody always knows somebody in the recovery field. You know what I mean? And so just reach out to anybody that you can, or just Google, if you can Google it, just Google, detox centers near me or, something like that. That's what I would do. Um, and for the podcasting, I would just highly recommend getting into Zach Babcock's course because, he's honest, he's real. And I 100% believe in his mission and his company. And that's the only way that I would personally recommend because that's what I've done. I've looked at other people that teach it, but it's more, but Zach's just, authentic and himself. And, so I'd recommend just checking him out.
I love it. Guys, if you don't check out his podcast, you're really missing out because it's no fluff, no filler. It's all fire. I love it, and I'm so grateful he had me on it. But like you said, I want to thank our sponsors. If you're a guy, if you're looking to get healthy, if you're looking to get your mind right, spirituality right, and even to get your finances right, check out Press Forward, my friend Neil Conlon on Facebook. Also, if you guys love coffee, make sure you pick out your Vertical Momentum coffee. If you're ready to kick Monday's ass, this is the coffee you want. Don't try to take a nap after it because you're not going to get any sleep because it's that high coffee. It's that high resolution, Vertical Momentum coffee. So, guys, thank you so much for always hanging out with us. Please leave a comment if this touched you like it touched me, talking to TJ and him telling the story. We don't make any money off our podcast. So that's the one way you can pay us, by leaving a comment, sharing it, or actually leave a review. TJ, brother, thank you so much. I'm so grateful for your friendship, and I'm so proud of you and the things you got going on today.
Hey, thank you for having me, man. I really appreciate it.
All right, brother. Well, God bless you. And guys, remember, vertical momentum. The only way to go is but.
Yep.